It's an absolute pleasure to be with you this evening and to share a little bit of food for thought with tomorrow's leaders. You know, the star-studded introduction always sounds great, but it doesn't cover the human parts. It doesn't touch on the things that connect us and establish the common ground. And as I go through my messages this evening, I want you to know me a little bit better. So I'm going to supplement that introduction with an excerpt from the offstage bio. The real Stephanie Breedlove is rolling through the peaks and valleys of life with good decisions and bad decisions, with amazing successes and debilitating failures, with so much to do and so little time, in balance for a millisecond and then completely out of balance, feeling prioritized and all of a sudden everything's falling off the plate, confident and then full of doubt, breaking new ground and then feeling guilty when I bump up against a societal norm, thinking that life is really great, but why in the world do we have so much of it? And through it all, knowing in my core that I have found who I am meant to be and I'm doing what I was meant to do. And all of this makes me human. And this self-awareness does more for my drive, my fulfillment, my confidence than any of the tangible accomplishments. And I'm not different from any of you in this room tonight. I'm just a little further down the road. So to achieve smart progress for women in leadership and in business, we need more role models. And we need role models that also meet the need for a transparent discussion of what the journey to success really looks like, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because that's real life, and that's how the journey is made. And it's meaningful to share that. So I stand before you this evening to share that my journey is not extraordinary. I'm just simply at the beginning of the evolution of women in business and leadership. And when I launched my company over 20 years ago, I had lots of camaraderie. There were and there are a lot of women starting and running small businesses. But as we scaled and we became an industry leader and reached enterprise size, I was all of a sudden very alone. It was like I'd had this opportunity to buy this gorgeous, beautiful, uninhabited island. And I had no transportation back to the mainland. And the only way to get the camaraderie back was for my cohorts to come out and join me. So on your journey, please consider that an invitation. Women like me are hungry for more company. And as a transparent role model, I'd like to begin my messages tonight with a story that happened right here on the UT campus, of an event that happened to me, no, for me. And it is, and always will be, instrumental to the value and the success of my journey. And it goes like this. It was a few weeks into my freshman year. It was the wee hours of a Sunday morning, probably 5 or 5:30. There was a frantic knock on my dorm room door at SRD. The kind of knock that jolts you out of bed, and had about 20 of us tumbling into the hallway, rubbing our eyes, trying to adjust to the light, and wondering what all the panic was about. We found out that one of the girls in the room next to me had been found unconscious and not breathing, and the RA was in search of help. A frantic call was placed to 911, and about 20 of us gathered around our friend's lifeless body, and the RA calmly said, "Can anybody help in any way before the paramedics get here?" And we stood there silent, somber, paralyzed. And all of a sudden, I found myself stepping into the center of the circle. You see, I'd been a lifeguard for a couple of years in high school, and I was trained in CPR. And I don't remember thinking, but I do remember feeling. I remember feeling afraid that I didn't know what I was doing, that I was going to make a mistake, that I might not make a difference, but more afraid for a life. So I mumbled something about lifeguarding and CPR and never doing it for real. And I straddled my friend, and with the RA at my side, I went to work. And the air moved in and out, and I hoped she had a pulse. And the 10 to 15 minutes before the paramedics arrived felt like an eternity. They did arrive. They shuttled us out of the room. They closed the door. When the door opened, a stretcher emerged with a body bag on top that was zipped closed. I remember standing at the end of the hallway, watching my friend roll down the hallway in a body bag. And a paramedic came and found me, which was a wonderful thing to do. And I remember him rambling on about what a hero I was. And he also took the time to tell me that she had passed an hour or two before being found, that she'd had a grand mal seizure and was an epileptic. And there was nothing any of us could have done. And I don't remember feeling like a hero in any way, shape, or form. But I do remember thinking I would do that again, over and over. And from this tragedy emerged a gift, and it was my job to see it. It was a clarity at a very young age of my desire and willingness to step in and do the work, to be all in, and to get to experience the profound benefits that come from that. Now, I think to that point in my life, I'd been checking boxes. Good grades, bragging rights degree. It was rare for a female to be in the finance area. I was getting a finance degree in 1983. The right extracurriculars, the right social group. On paper, pretty perfect. And something was missing. Your college years are a time when you are learning who you are meant to be. It may not be clear at this moment. It wasn't for me, but the process is indeed in motion. And I don't mean it's a time to formulate your plan and chart your course and start marching. I actually believe we have too much of that in society, and it robs us of a lot of creativity and spontaneity, and of a lot of the things that bring joy to living. What I'm talking about is really being open. I mean, opening up your awareness to where you are truly most comfortable in your own skin. What are you doing when your adrenaline races and your eyes light up? What are you working on when your talents deliver your absolute best and you feel it and you know it and it's fun? Be open, be holistic to this, and practice it. Resist being cool and trendy. It's probably not where you're meant to go. Don't check the boxes. Don't strive for society's perfection. Be open to experiencing opportunities that feel right, but may not have good logical or analytical explanations. It's a gut feeling. It often defies norms, your norms, business norms, culture norms. So listen, not to the norm, but to that part of you who knows who the best you is, even if the conscious you is not sure in any way, shape, or form. I am an entrepreneur by passion, calling, and skill. I know that it's where my best talents get to be exercised. I know it's who I'm meant to be. And allow me to share a little piece of the somewhat crazy path that landed me in this perfect and amazing place for me. So in 1987, I graduated from the University of Texas, and 6 weeks later, I got married at 22. Who does that? I then decided to pursue an MBA, and following that, I went to work for Andersen Consulting, which is now Accenture. And the path was challenging and fulfilling, and I really felt like I was making a difference in an industry at the time that was very male-dominated, and I actually was really enjoying it. I thought maybe that was for me. Well, early in my career, within the first few years, I had two sons 16 months apart. I was 27 and 28 when they were born. And again, who does that? It wasn't the plan. And a clarity was growing for both my husband and myself at this time, that we had a desire to pursue dual careers and equality in our home under the philosophy that if we supported each other's individual best talents, it would also be best for our family. And this was 1991. So was this going to work? So we also hired a nanny to be our third parent. And we wanted to pay her legally and professionally and give her paid vacation and benefits. And we were working for Andersen Consulting and Ernst & Young at the time. So we had lots of resources to help us with this. And it was a nightmare, and no one knew how to do it. At the same time, I was becoming acutely aware of my broad and holistic way of approaching my professional life, the way I approach projects and problems. And I thought that maybe my best talents might be better suited as an entrepreneur, where my eyes would light up all the time. And our nanny tax idea was born. But here's how it was born. It was a test. It was an MVP that we launched while we kept our full-time jobs, and we serviced a little bit of business on the side in the evenings and the weekends. We felt maybe there might be some value in this emerging in-home care market where women will continue to return to work and have in-home childcare, and the elderly will age at home. But it was not sexy. We were focused in and around the home with two babies, so it was a little easier than we expected. By year 2, our idea started to get a little bit of traction, and the operative word there is little. I'm not talking grandiose in any way, shape, or form. And it began to kill me. This was not a recipe for success, professionally or personally. My family deserved better, my small group of clients deserved better, and my career deserved better. After months of angst and stress, clinging on to the norms and the safety of my career and a paycheck and what was normal in society, I finally opened up and listened. One Saturday afternoon, hadn't showered yet, kids were napping, sweats and slippers, trying to crank through my entrepreneurial to-dos in my basement office, asking my husband to take over, ending nap time and heading into the dinner routine, and I would join them when I could. I realized stress, risk, unknowns, long hours. I would rather be doing this than working in my corporate job. So I took the leap into entrepreneurship and became the first full-time co-founder to take Breedlove & Associates, which is now Care.com HomePay, national, and to scale it. We self-funded. It was risky. It was stressful. It was bring you to your knees work. And it was one of the absolute best times of my life. So as you answer the call that builds your best talents, the best you go all in and you engage in the level of work that allows you to meet the challenges, tackle the barriers, and do the work that helps you to become the very best at what you do. And this individual work is paramount to the success and the advancement that we seek for women in business and leadership. And it applies to every aspect of life. So let's bring this little bit of a soft philosophy to life with yet another little story. In 1991, I had been with Accenture for a little less than 3 years, and I was pregnant with my first son. There was not a maternity package yet, at least in the Denver office where I lived, and I wasn't sure what to do. I was not in management yet, and couldn't work some of the deals that come with being in a management position. And my peers said things like, well, if you do come back, you're going to be that little mother in the corner. Or, you know, they really don't want you to come back, and maybe they just will ask you not to come back. They don't want to deal with this. And I reminded myself of one of my favorite quotes, I love quotes, from Eleanor Roosevelt. And she says, never let any person tell you no who does not have the power to say yes. So I set up a meeting with the partner in my area, many levels above me, and I put together my business case. I remember sitting outside his office, nauseous, not from pregnancy, but from nervousness. And I went in and I gave him my pitch. I asked for 4.5 months off, for them to pay for as much of that as they could, and that I was serious about my career, and I'd sign a 1-year contract upon return to show them that I was not going to leave shortly after maternity leave, and that much time off was going to make me a better and more quality employee if I was adjusted and ready to go back to work. I remember he looked at me and he smiled really big, and I remember thinking to myself, is that smile a, I like her gumption smile, or is that smile a, who does she think she is smile? And he leaned forward and he said yes to everything. Only 6 weeks paid, but he said yes. And I realized that I was helping to shape a norm, and that the firm was happy to enter this space, and we were doing it together. In this decision, I was not straddling a fence. I was not sort of engaging. I was not hoping that it would all just kind of work out. I had to go all in. And my message to you is decide definitively. And if your answer is no, that's often a very powerful decision. It's often harder to say no than it is to say yes, especially for women. But when you say yes, go all in, and it will maximize the impact of that decision. We've made a lot of progress in the area of the story I just told since 1991, but this is a tangible example of the challenges you will face and your ability to meet them. And you know, believe it or not, we are actually early in the evolution of women in business and in leadership. And let me give you just a brief set of stats that will help you to understand the state of the union. So women are 50% of all college graduates today. We are 50% of law school and medical students. We are only 28% of MBA students. There's work to be done there. We've increased to be 40% of our workforce. We're almost at parity. Women hold 40% of management positions, but only 15% of C-suite positions. We have some work to do there. Women now own over 35% of businesses in the United States. But a peep under the hood shows a little bit of a rougher picture. We generate only 4% of US revenue, employ only 6% of our workers, and we are only 11% of the businesses in our country that have more than 1 million in revenue each year. So we have some work to do there. This brief set of stats shows us that there is indeed a lot to celebrate, and there is indeed a tremendous amount of work to do. Crafting the best solutions for smart progress is highly complex, and they won't be built overnight. But in the last 10 years, some of our best, brightest, and most influential have joined the efforts, and they see their investment as smart business. Babson College, the Forte Foundation, Ernst & Young, Accenture, Dell. Just a few names I'm dropping for proof. And this event this weekend is perfect proof of smart progress by top universities. And you know what, just 2 years ago, there was a groundbreaking study by 2 sociologists, David Padula of the University of Texas and Sarah Tabad of UC Santa Barbara, in which they revealed that the majority of men and women would choose and would prefer equality in earning and in home life. but that a significant percentage of our young men and women are falling back on traditional roles because our business culture does not yet support this new norm and this desire. We have some work to do. I recently read a quote from Sheryl Sandberg in which she stated that she would love to experience a world in her lifetime where women run half of our companies and men run half of our homes. I actually have an even loftier goal. I think we will achieve our greatest level of success when it is all done in partnership. You will definitely have to make very tough choices in your lifetime, I guarantee it. But choosing between work and family should not be one of them. I hope that the women-only efforts that are currently paving the way for smart progress for women in leadership and in business are simply setting the stage for larger collective efforts that engage 100% of the population, not just 50%. Economic growth and strength actually depends on it. And growing the courage to be your own hero will help you get there. I am actually striving to help fill the gap in the lack of entrepreneurial female role models, but I would actually prefer to help you be your own hero. The choice to pursue entrepreneurship or corporate leadership is a path today that does not have a smooth road yet. We are still in the Wild West. I knew that I had to embrace being my own hero if I was going to travel this journey successfully. And it has delivered incredible difference-making empowerment. It means that you're comfortable going off-road and shaping new norms because you know with certainty that it will create stronger progress, greater success, more fulfillment for everybody involved. You know, I actually have a wonderful list of accomplishments in my journey thus far. Parenthood with 2 amazing sons who I have decided walk on water. An amazing entrepreneurial, successful journey. And a partnership with my husband, who is my co-founder and my best friend. But these are not my greatest accomplishments. My single greatest accomplishment is doing the work that it takes to tackle the barriers, to approach the unknowns with confidence, to push through the fear that takes you to the other side with fulfillment and benefit beyond your expectations. This is the place where I get to develop my talents to the absolute fullest. And when you're at your best, you get to give your best. And everyone and everything benefits. And the ripple effect really is exponential. So practice that self-awareness that allows you to find the right path for you. Go all in. Be your own hero. Develop your talents to the fullest. Go everywhere you are meant to go and help create the economic and cultural changes that the world seeks. Thank you.